good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to the Armoury. Welcome to the Fulham Arsenal match preview. I'm trying to keep on track of what games I'm doing at the moment. We've got the wonderful G with us today. How are you doing, G?
Yeah, man, I'm good, man. I'm good. I've recovered from what was a pretty horrendous match the other night.
Yeah.
In terms of a spectacle, anyway. In terms of a spectacle, it wasn't necessarily what we're used to. But like I say, how we reflected the 2-2 draw away from home, bringing it back to the Emirates, we can get the job done. But yeah, I'm good, man. I mean, work's been busy. Yeah, juggling work, family, gym, all sorts. It's been a real hectic day. It feels like I kind of can't wait to just like, obviously I'm gonna enjoy the show, but I kind of can't wait to just kick up my feet and throw on a box set or a movie and just fall asleep in front of the TV. That's what I want to do tonight, man. But yeah, how are you, bro?
That's what I was saying before. I'm just tired. I can't wait for the international break. I just need a few days off the show. I love doing the previews. I absolutely adore it. But with the games constantly, it's trying to fit everything in.
Yeah.
Because obviously on the Saturday night, I like to do something different. So that's why I'm doing Notts County Dorking. Yeah. It's just that's what I love. Yeah. And then next Saturday, I've got a new show planned, which is a whole new thing. That's going to be time consuming as well. So yeah, watch out for next Saturday because that's going to be very interesting. We're obviously here to talk about Fulham versus Arsenal. However, before we get into that game, we have got some interesting and very good news regarding an official partner. I will let G take over this and I'll put a slide up when it's the right time, but I'll let G deal with it now.
Wicked. Thank you, Bobby. So yeah, some good news obviously from myself, Bobby, and the Armoury squad. We have an official partner, and they go by the name of Rising Stars, which basically, I mean, in a nutshell, to summarize what it is they do, they sell clothing. More importantly, they sell T-shirts. So T-shirts with what I can only describe as iconic football images from past and present. So, I mean, it kind of came to a bit of a surprise, but we're, over the moon to be working with them. And we'd love, obviously, your support to go, check them out on their Twitter page, their website, look at, the kind of merchandise that they've got. The kind of T-shirts that they create. It's relatively new in terms of their Twitter, in terms of stuff that they've shared, but I know that's going to become more and more as time goes on. So yeah, great news for Rising Stars, great news for us, the Armoury, and hopefully great news for everybody who tunes in and supports us. Because like I said, you'll be able to head over to there. We do have a unique link that you can go there, check out their stock, and if you purchase anything, you can use our unique link. And as you can see on the screen, we've also got a QR code. So you can literally scan that code and that will take you to their website where you can have a little bit of a browse and hopefully purchase some T-shirts. If you've missed that QR link or if you're not too with it in terms of like technology and so forth, in the description of this show, we do have the tree link. So the Linktree link in the description is where you can also go have a little look at their website, look through their merchandise, and if you feel to, if paydays come around already, you can give yourself a little bit of a treat, a cheeky purchase for one of the iconic T-shirts they've got. I mean, I've had a little look at their website and stuff, and two stand out for me straight away, and that is one of the iconic Bergkamp images of him controlling the ball in midair, and also an Anelka style T-shirt as well. Obviously, no bias associated at all, but those are my favorites so far. But yeah, check them out. Check them out.
I'm going to show you the screen now. So this is their website. So at the top, we've got Alan Shearer, Andy Cole, Dwight York, Dennis Bergkamp. You got Drake and Benzema, which is an interesting combo. You got Eric Cantona. I'm not going to mention other players on that list. Henrik Larsson is one I actually do love because I just think he's so underrated, that guy.
Yeah.
Jude Bellingham, a new one there. Michael Owen, Mo Salah.
Yeah, that Balotelli one, that is just iconic, isn't it? That image.
A Moss, I'm thinking of Moss here, Ruud Gullit. He obviously is Holland. You got Scott Brown for the Scottish fans. I know I've got a bit of a Scottish following. Moss might want to look away now. Heung-min Song is on there. Moss, I do apologise, but he is a big cult hero for a lot of people. And Zidane.
Zizou, man. What can you say? What can you say about Zizou?
Well, this is the thing. I will always be proud of I was a junior gunner, one of those little mascot things. And I remember writing in the programme, I actually had my quotes in there when Wenger signed up for Arsenal, and they asked all the mascots choose 3 players that you want Wenger to sign.
Yeah.
I can't remember the third one. I wish I could, but Lizarazu and Zidane were the 2 players I wanted, and they were both at Bordeaux at the time.
Oh man,
and
left back how good Lizarazu. You see, you know what it is. There are players, and then there are players.
Yeah.
And there are teams, and then there are teams. I know it sounds like an M&S advert, but it's true. It's crazy. Zinedine Zidane. Like, I mean, I think I've said it a million times to you guys. I grew up watching. I might not look old enough, but my first TV was black and white. And it had like knobs on it, not even a remote. It had knobs that you'd have to twist, and it even had an aerial which looked like a coat hanger. And I used to sit down on a Sunday afternoon and watch Football Italia. And there were times when I couldn't really tell which team was playing which, but what I could do is I could appreciate beautiful football.
Yeah.
And I grew up, as much as I am in love with Arsenal and as much as I watch the Premier League now, back in that day, I mean, we didn't have Sky TV, etc., etc. Yeah. I didn't really have the best of upbringing in terms of, like, having the money to afford Sky and go to games and stuff like that, which I've given my kids now, so that's all good. But I mean, I fell in love with Italian football, and some of the names and some of the guys on those T-shirts: Zinedine Zidane, Lizarazu. Not so much Lizarazu because I don't think he played in Serie A. But Zinedine Zidane was one of them, and Paolo Maldini was another one I saw on one of the T-shirts. And these were guys I just absolutely fell in love with. And one of my fondest memories, some of my fondest memories of football, is Zidane, either in a French shirt, a Madrid shirt, part of the Galactico side, and even Juventus. I mean, some of the goals I still remember the Champions League volley that he scored in the Champions League. Like, what a stage! What a player to score a goal like that. And I still remember how he single-handedly led France to win a World Cup in a squad that, yes, they had a very, very amazing group of players, but no out-and-out natural striker, really, to kind of top off that side. But he carried them through that tournament. So I've always said I've got a lot of favourite players. Ian Wright is my idol in terms of Arsenal players. I mean, Thierry Henry is up there. But in terms of, like, global football, Zidane is the man for me, like Zizou. I've never been more mesmerized by a player than Zidane. So, yeah, if I'm going to cop a T-shirt, which I'm gonna, it's probably going to have to be the Zizou one, I can't lie.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to get some comments before we talk about the game a little bit. Good day, G and Bobby. Thank you very much, Mars. I don't get the shirt things. Mars, you can message me and I'll explain it. In Mossanese, as we all like to call it, with the way that you speak. I'll explain it as it's just a design. I actually quite like it, to be honest. I think it just makes it unique. Evening to Luke. Might have to get some, especially what's happened today. And I will say, obviously, Alex Scott and Alan Shearer have done the same as Ian right now.
100%. I rate it 100%.
I mean, he's got Cole. There are other players on there. There's Eric Cantona's there. There's Dwight York and
check out the website, bro. Check out the website.
Cole, come on. There's a French game on in a bit. Rude Hullet, one Classico. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Is there a Harry Maguire one? No, there isn't.
Not sure there will be, to be honest.
Yeah, I had the same type of TV GTalks played my Sega Megathon.
Bruv, trust me, bruv. I remember one time watching Milan versus Inter, and I didn't even know what was going on. Anytime the ball was in the middle of the park, I was like, who's it? Who's got it?
Right, let's talk about this game. Right, wonderful stuff. Right, we're playing Fulham at Craven Cottage. We've played them 55 times. We've won 41, drawn 11. only lost 3, which does surprise me, to be honest, because I have seen quite a few defeats, and it's the 2 recent. So, yeah, I was quite surprised there's only 3 defeats in the whole of the history.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the game right now?
You know what, Bobby? It's crazy because like before our blip, I was so confident, like so confident that I even said in one of our streams that, I think we will go on to win the Premier League. And I still stand by that because I do think we have everything. I think we've proven time and time again that 26, 27 games in, we're still 5 points clear. Every single narrative that's played out, has played out and has been dismantled. Even the most recent one that I think people need to not forget was when Jesus got injured, our season would fall apart. Well, I'd like to remind everyone we're still 5 points clear, which is where we were when Jesus got injured. So, having said that, it's not that I'm not confident. I'm just very much. I think it's kind of a little bit more like when I was on the stream and I was really confident. I was like, yeah, we're gonna win this. We're gonna win this. We're gonna beat all the teams. We're not gonna lose until the end of the season. And I just think, maybe I was just getting a little bit carried away with myself. I just think it's important that we just respect all the teams that we're playing between now and the end of the season. I think this Premier League has proven time and time again that there are no easy games. You just have to take the Nottingham Forest draw with City. Although they didn't lose, it was an absolute shocking result. I don't think anybody expected it, particularly after beating us in our backyard. So I'm on the fence with this one, if I'm completely honest. I think we have what it takes to win the game, but I am a little bit nervous, not so much because of our performance or given our form, just because of the mounting injuries we have in the top half of the side, like the offensive part of the team. I feel like we're going into this game quite light in terms of like options up front. The options we're going with up front are not our best, and I don't think we're going to have very much on the bench in terms of, if we do need a bit of a push or we need a bit of an impact from the bench. It concerns me that we're going to be very light in that department. And we've seen just how impactful our bench can be when we have the players on the pitch and we have game changers on the bench. Going into this game, where my lack of confidence comes from is the fact that we're going to have to rotate because of injuries and illness, but then I don't think we're going to have the players that could potentially change the game if we need to on the bench. So I'm confident we can get a result, but I think it's going to be a very, very difficult game.
Yeah, as you know, I'm doing the watch along. I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm a little bit confident about it. I don't know why, which is unusual for me. But what I'm also worried about is I do a lot of 0-0s. I've not had a 0-0 for a while. I've got a horrible feeling one's coming up, and it won't be tomorrow.
This is not going to end 0-0.
Well, I hope so. Just want to quickly get into the comments because there's some building up. Surprisingly, one of my favourite players growing up. That's because you had taste, Cole. I don't know what happened to you ever since, but
often overlooked by a lot of
correct.
non-Arsenal fans. Like neutrals tend to overlook him, but absolute brilliant winger.
Yeah. Spot on. I'm not, because you're gonna make me say it, and then you're gonna clip me and trick me. So no, I know you, Cole. I would be pleasantly surprised if we won on Sunday. I think we'd do well to get a draw, considering how little options we have. Yeah, because the bench last night was very weak. Tight 2-1 for us. Do you think Eddie will be ready to go? Not that I've heard of. I have to be honest.
No. Same with Trossard as well. He's out until at least the international break, I've heard.
Yeah, I think Fulham are getting us at a good time.
Potentially.
Yeah, didn't they lose last weekend though?
Yeah, they lost to Brentford in a pretty. Yeah, it was a pretty close game. It's a good game. Yeah, very good game. Very close, close contested. I agree with what Luke has said. Was it Luke that said that? Yeah, I agree with what Luke has said to a certain extent. I think they're getting us at a good time in terms of the condition of our squad based on the injuries and illnesses that we've recently had. In terms of form, I'd somewhat disagree because I think we're in great form in the Premier League. I don't really pay too much attention to the Lisbon game. We were heavily rotated. It was a bit of a below par performance for me. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I agree to a certain extent. Good time in terms of where our squad's at, particularly offensively, but we're in good form in the Prem. So I think carrying that confidence, that's the part of me that's confident, is the form we're in. What makes me not confident is the state of our attacking options.
Yeah, exactly. I'll let you know later, Moss. I've got 2 games this weekend that I'm covering. I'll let you know at the end of the show. Jesus has Tross out. I think Jesus will be on the bench tomorrow. I'll be perfectly honest. That's my inkling, is Jesus will be
Unless you're Tony.
So yeah, Tony. Yeah, I'm trying to think how many people went for Jesus. I think it was literally just Tony.
I think it was.
Yeah, well, because I got 7 squads to go through today. There's quite a lot actually in the end. But it is going to be time for my new segment, which I did the other night, and we're going to do it again tonight. So these are my 5 to watch, not G's. These are the ones that I think will give us a bit of an issue. He can use them later in the challenge if he wants, but Bern Leno, I've got to say him. He's been brilliant at Fulham. Mm-hmm. I've always known he's such a great shot stopper, and they just don't play the way that we do. And he's just looked amazing. I 6 clean sheets in 24 is pretty good, to be fair. Mitrovic, a lot of people were so hard on him, thinking, oh, he's going to flop this season. But the thing with the Championship, it teaches you how to work as a striker. Now, I will say this about Eddie. I wish he had played more time at the Championship when he went on loan there, because I think that would have enhanced some of his skills. It has for Mitrovic. I think he's been absolute brutal this season. I have seen him in some bad games. I've watched him against Wolves earlier in the season. I'm pretty sure he thought he was playing NFL, because it definitely wasn't football. But every striker has that kind of day. João Paulina, I am shocked, and this is no disrespect to Fulham. I'm shocked he went there, but he has been sublime. I would have him. I'd have him now. Anthony Robinson, the guy that was linked with Bayern Munich, I can start seeing why now, because he is very good. I don't know why I've put left wing. I do apologise, Anthony. I know you're left back. For some reason, I was just obviously in a bit of a rush. And Manolas Sonoman. Now, I need to give you a bit more details about these appearances. Yes, it's 8 appearances and 4 goals, but only 1 start. And he still managed to get 4 goals. We were linked with him, weren't we?
We were linked with him for a long time. He come from Shakhtar, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have loved him. I'm going to skip some of those comments because it's other stuff at the moment. Right, we're going to go into squad 1, which was the popular one for Luke, Gumza, Josh, Tim, Nicholas, Simon, and Moss. They all went for this lineup. Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Sinchenko, Partey, Xhaka, Odegaard, Saka, Nelson, and Martinelli. And as far as I can remember, compared to yours, G, it's
only Odegaard. Yeah, it's Odegaard for Vieira. Yeah.
So, how do you feel about that one? Happy?
Yeah, I think this team makes a lot of sense. And to be fair, if Odegaard gets over his illness, this would have been the team I picked. But I just picked based on what I know as of right now, which is Odegaard was ill. We haven't had an update on his situation. I thought Vieira played well against Sporting. I think he was one of our standout players on the night. So I could see why this team has been picked, because I think we pretty much know that's going to be our front three for the weekend, given the injuries that we have. And I think the only position I think that there is maybe a little bit uncertainty about is the fact that Odegaard was ill. He wasn't even on the bench, though, I don't believe, against Sporting, which kind of concerns me that I'm not sure he's going to be ready for the weekend. That's just my hunch, so which is why I went for Vieira. But yeah, the team picks itself. Ramsdale in goal, the back four. I mean, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? That for me, that's the first team back four. Partey anchoring, the midfield. Xhaka having a great season. Odegaard, the absolute maestro. And those 3 lads up top, I mean, Saka is star boy, ever consistent. Didn't have the best of games against Sporting. But listen, he's probably one of the only players that plays every single game, every single minute. And he's not always going to perform. He's not. He's going to have days when he doesn't, like every player in the Premier League or every player in world football. It's not about going missing. It's just about being a human being. We don't always perform to the best of our abilities, to be honest. I know my manager could probably tell you the same thing about me. And then you've got obviously Gabby in the middle, not a position that I like him. I know that's quite unpopular opinion, but I just don't see him as a striker. I'm not saying he won't be a striker and he won't develop his game, but anytime I've seen him there, I've just not been overly impressed. But at the end of the day, needs must. We don't have a centre forward right now. We don't even have a player that can play false nine because we've got Jesus coming back, Eddie out, and Trossard out. So you can't play Nelson or Saka down the middle. It would just be as bad as playing ESR down the middle against Villarreal, whoever it was in the Europa League. And Nelson, obviously, has had some really amazing performances, notably generally off the bench. So it'd be nice for him to get a start and actually put in a top performance and potentially win us the game from a starting position. So yeah, man, the team makes a lot of sense. The only change for me was obviously Vieira, because I don't know what's happening with Odegaard. But yeah, that team for me, I can see why so many picked it, because it makes sense.
Yeah, and here is your team, and Carlos also went with your team. Now, I would like you to do me a really big favour, because today on the Twitter sphere of Arsenal, everyone is having a go at Vieira. Now, I don't know what people saw last night. I don't know. They're on about the price tag. They're on about that he's never going to be filling his potential. And I'm like, what are you guys watching? Because he, for me, was man of the match last night.
Yeah. You know what it was, yeah? I think it was simply because of the performance of the whole team, and the fact that we didn't win the game. I think a lot of people's opinions are based on the team's performance, and a lot of it is based on the result. Because I'm with you. What I watched, he was levels. His performance was levels above the rest of the team.
Yeah.
For me, there were 10 other players, maybe 9 other players on that pitch that you could have possibly questioned in terms of how they performed, but Vieira wouldn't have been one of them for me. He, alongside Saliba, as we said in the reaction show, were the kind of standout performers. Maybe the cameo from Tommy was up there as well, but obviously he did it for a longer period of time because he started the game. So I don't understand it, And to kind of talk about the fee, I mean, let's be honest, 35 million, whatever it was that we paid for him, is absolute peanuts. Just to kind of put that in perspective, Anthony Gordon went to Newcastle for 45 million.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I don't know why anybody is squabbling or having a meltdown about the fee, because in this market, in today's market, 35 million for a player of Vieira's ability is a no-brainer. It's an absolute snip. And even if he were to go on and not have a successful career at Arsenal, you'd easily recoup that back. In terms of if he's so young, his ceiling is still very high. If he didn't make the grade in the Premier League, he would easily go to the Portuguese league, the Spanish league, the French league, and walk into a side and absolutely dominate that level of football. Because let's face it, it's not the same intensity, physicality as the Premier League. So for me, the fee is it's not even worth like a debate, to be honest. Like it's absolute peanuts in this market. And I think we do need to take into consideration his age. He is very young. And this is his first season outside of Portuguese football. And I mean, if you look at his stats, I don't like to go down the stat route, because I'm very much, I say what I see. But if you look at his stats, I think it's something like in 12 starts or 12 appearances, he's got 6 assists and 2 goals. I mean, that's not shabby. You know what I mean? Like, somebody actually tweeted his stats, and I was actually surprised they were that good. And he actually got an assist last night. He was the reason why we scored actually one of those goals. Put it on the plate for Saliba to head home. So I think it's just the nature of the new generation football fan. I just think it's the nature of certain sections of the Arsenal fan base. We always have to have a scapegoat. We always have to have a reason why we didn't win the game, or a reason why we're not doing as well as we can be. You know, Gums, I know, will definitely say that, because he's always backing the boys, particularly the likes of Nelson and Eddie, and always talking about that narrative of always having a scapegoat. And I never always believed it, but I do think it's true. I think as a fan base, when we don't win a game, we look for a reason as to why we didn't win the game, and that usually ends up a particular player or player's fault. And for some reason, I've seen it as well. I just not entertained it on Twitter. There is a narrative out there that Vieira had a bad game, and that he's a flop. And I'm just like, put it into context in terms of what he's cost, how old he is, and actually analyze his performances, where he's had very limited minutes as well. I think people with bit more level of maturity and common sense would probably have a very different opinion, in my opinion, because I'm not saying he's had a phenomenal season, but in terms of when he's played, he's done well. The thing is, he is a little bit lightweight. We know this, but at the end of the day, he's just still transitioning from playing in the Portuguese league to the Premier League. And some players do it like that. Some players take a little bit more time, but if you can't see the quality that this player possesses, then I'm not sure football's for you, man.
See, the thing is, and I'm not going to say who it is, but this guy is actually a journalist for Arsenal, and he's the one that started this narrative last night. And I'm like, what are you watching? Why are you using him as a scapegoat? It was a bad performance last night. I'll get that.
Yeah.
But don't blame one person who, for me, was the better player on that pitch.
Yeah.
And the problem when it's this type of person that's got quite a big following, they all listen to it.
Yeah, of course they will.
And it's like, this is dangerous. I don't like, you're entitled to your opinion. You're very entitled to your opinion. I guess that we all would disagree on this channel. Yeah. Tony will disagree with us about holding. It's just, but we're not going to put the narrative out there and put this person basically on a noose and to say, this is the guy that's being blamed for this.
Yeah,
not going to happen.
That's out of order.
It's not going to happen.
But it was. It's a weird one, because I expected it to be. I expected it to be Kivior. After watching the game, I thought it was going to be Kivior Turner or Turner and Kivior, one of them or both of them. But yeah, I was gobsmacked that it was Vieira. And I saw it a lot on the timeline today, but I just kept scrolling. I just ignored it because I just thought I just can't. And like you, it annoyed me, it frustrated me. I don't think I saw the journalist that you're on about. So after the show, message me and I'll take a little look.
Yeah, and Moss knows who I'm on about. And he's he definitely knows. I will definitely let you know after the show. Right, this is Tony's one, and I will explain. He is not the only one that's chosen holding for a start. And it is to do with Mitrovic.
I've seen his reason. Yeah, I saw his reason on Twitter.
So he's gone for Ramsdale, White, Holding, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Partey, Xhaka, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus. Obviously, if fit. I still wouldn't play him if he was fit. I'd just give him give him 30 minutes or something. Yeah. What do you think of that one very quickly?
Yeah, nice, all good, man. Keeper picks it, Ramsdale picks himself, England #1. Obviously, back four. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I wouldn't pick Holding personally. I'd pick obviously Saliba and Gabriel. I think Tony knows that already. At the same time, I get it. Holding is more of an old-fashioned, traditional centre back. Mitrovic is a bit of a throwback in terms of centre forward. We saw what Holding did against Haaland. Give credit where credit's due. Other than him getting a booking, he would have stayed on against Man City. Yeah, he would have. I think Arteta was right to take him off, because I think once Holding gets a yellow card, the way he plays, he's likely to get a red. But let's not forget, while he was on the pitch, he pocketed Haaland. He did. Yeah. He really, really did. So I understand where Tony's coming from. I think there are certain games and certain opposition that are more tailored and more suited to Holding. So if, with Mitrovic and the way he plays, it makes sense. Both Gabriel and Holding, for me, are kind of more physical centre backs than Saliba. I'm not to say Saliba's not a physical centre back,
Yeah,
but I think that's more of the kind of nature of their game. They like to, they like that battle with the centre back. They like to get in the centre back's face. Saliba at the moment, not a criticism, but he's a bit nice. He's a bit nice. He's for me, the way he plays is how he's on the ball. Very composed, very nice, very stylish. I haven't really seen that kind of real mean kind of competitive streak in him that we know Holding's got, that we know Gabriel's got. So yeah, for me it makes sense. I don't think it's what Arteta will do. It's not what I would have done or what I would do. At the same time, I get it. If you're going to play Holding, that is the type of opposition and player you'd play him against. Midfield is the same, bar obviously Odegaard, and I'm with Tony. And yeah, I'm with Tony in that. If Odegaard's fit, he plays. It's just whether or not he'll be fit. We just have to find out and wait until Sunday. In terms of Jesus, as much as it excites me, I wouldn't take the risk. I'd love to, and I'd love it to work, but I just have this thing in me that if we took the risk and it didn't, I honestly feel that if we played Jesus and he gets an injury, a season-ending injury between now and the end of the season, touch wood, it don't happen by God's grace. I actually think psychologically, I think that ends our season. Yeah. I really do. I think he's that influential that I think it might not end our season because, in a way, like we've played so long without him. But I definitely feel like the squad, the fan base, the staff, I think everybody is just waiting for him to come back and for him to have an impact. So I think it would be a massive, massive blow. And so for that reason, as much as I'd love to see him, and it would be brilliant and it'd be lovely for him to come back against Fulham, get a goal, win us the game, or contribute somehow, I wouldn't do it. I think it's just a tad too early, particularly where we didn't see him on the bench against Sporting. I think his first appearance, I think, is going to be a bench, and we're going to slowly transition him in. But yeah, I get Tony's logic, man, because at the end of the day, we are short up top. We're really, really short. We've got, like, if we play the front three of Saka, Gabby, and Nelson, we've got nothing on the bench, man. Like, so I think, the idea that you've had in the past of the likes of Dewberry, I think now's the time, man. We need something on the bench.
Guess what? There is one with Dewberry in it tonight.
Oh, there we go. As far as I'm concerned, now is the time. Yeah, man, bring in Dewberry.
There will be a Dewberry selection tonight, I guarantee you that. Right, we're going to go into Brenny's, Miguel's, and for the first time, a selection that was done on TikTok. So big up to come on you Gunners. I don't know who you are, but you were very nice to message me on TikTok and give me your selection. Nice. So very much thank you for that. Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Partey, Xhaka, Odegaard, Saka, Smith Rowe on the left, and Martinelli.
Yeah. For me, it's just Smith Rowe. That's the only change I can see from the previous lineups or the ones that we haven't covered. As much as I'd love to see Smith Rowe get a start, I don't think he's there yet. I think Nelson is there ahead of him in terms of obviously he didn't have as big an injury. He wasn't out for as long as ESR was. He's come on, he's got some minutes. But I think it will be the same against Fulham. It will be the same against maybe Sporting and even Palace. I think the aim will be to give him minutes in all those 3 games, get the international break under his belt, and then potentially be in a position to start a game at the end of that. I think it's going to be too soon for him against Fulham. But if he starts, we back him and we hope he can contribute. But for me, I think it'll be a tad too early.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is Canna's. He was nice enough to do it whilst he was in Barcelona. Yes. And Jonas also went for the same team. Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko. It's pretty much the same apart from Tommy.
Apart from Tommy. Yeah.
So,
and I get it. I get it with Tommy because he's had some shockers in recent weeks when he's come on. But also, one Arsenal fan reminded me. I can't remember who it was or who I had a conversation with. But we got to remember that Ben White had a shocker against United. Tommy came on and absolutely pocketed Rashford. There's still a player in there. He probably is just lacking a bit of confidence. Had limited minutes, so he's not just turned into a bad defender or a bad player overnight. So yeah, he came on against Sporting, and I was impressed. I was very impressed. It's been a level up in terms of his recent performances. So I think there's a very good argument to say that Tommy probably deserves and warrants a start against Fulham, because Ben White didn't have the best of games. Tommy came on and he did make a difference. He got in some really good areas. Defensively, he was tight. So yeah, I can't argue with that. If I see Tommy's name on the team sheet against Fulham, happy days.
Right, I'm going to take this one off because I know the next one is very different. So I'm going to skip one and go back to one in a minute. This is what King did. He went with Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Jorginho, Partey as a box-to-box midfielder, which I actually still think we should try at some point.
Yeah.
Odegaard, Saka, Nelson, Martinez. So it's pretty much the same, apart from a little bit of a twist in midfield.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that little twist?
Yeah, I mean, it's something we've discussed before, isn't it? Like, we've had previous teams where people have spoken about, playing Jorginho in that kind of anchor role and giving Partey the freedom to play in that number 8 position that Xhaka has done, so well for us this season. And it's something that I've said similar to what you've just said. I'd like to see it. I'd like us to try it. I think he has the ability to play in that position 100%. Because I wouldn't necessarily say Xhaka is offensively or technically a better player or more skilled than Partey. So, I don't see why not. King's gone for it. Will Arteta go for it? I doubt it. I can't see it happening. No. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we're ever going to see it, as much as a lot of us are curious and intrigued about it. But yeah, if that's what Arteta does, I think we would all be very excited and very intrigued to see how it goes. But I just can't envision it. I think Partey has practically cemented his position in that midfield as the kind of anchor man. And I really can't see him being deployed further up the pitch in that number 8 Xhaka role. But I'd love to see it. So yeah, I get why King's done it, but I think it's going to be a while yet, if ever we ever do see it.
Right. G, have you got a drink? Because you might need it after this one. This one, okay. I know what you're like with really rotated squads, and this one's rotated. Okay, so this is Mehmet and Jack. Now, Mehmet and Jack, I did ask them to think outside the box. I always like one of my groups just to think outside the box, and they have. They haven't thought very outside the box. They've gone still, good quality in there, but they've gone for Ramsdale, White, Holding, Kivior, Zinchenko, Partey, Xhaka, Vieira, Kosa Dewberry on the right, Nelson on the left, and Martinelli down the middle. Now, the reason they've done this is they didn't feel that Kivior was as bad as what people are saying. They should give him a chance with Holding, because they actually think those two will be a better partnership. That's their opinion. I actually kind of agree, because Kivior, for me, can play more like Saliba, where, as you were saying earlier, Holding is more physical. I don't think Kivior is. So in a way, it's like a vice versa between Saliba and Gabriel. So it's a combination. Obviously, I probably wouldn't do it against Fulham away. I might do it against Fulham at home. But I always ask them to think outside the box, and big up to Mehmet and Jack for doing it. I'll let you carry on, because I know this is probably stressing you out.
Yeah, you see my concentration face, innit? Yeah, obviously it's not something I would do. Like you said, I think you hit the nail on the head. I echo what you said. I think away to Fulham in the season they're having. I mean, for me, Marco Silva, for me, other than whichever manager wins the Premier League, I think he's in the conversation for manager of the season. I think he's doing an absolutely phenomenal job at Fulham. I don't think he really gets the plaudits he deserves, to be honest, or Fulham. I don't think there's enough noise in the media in terms of what Fulham are doing, because I think a lot of people had Fulham to come up and struggle, and they've done anything but. So I think this is going to be a really tough game. The only reason why I wouldn't go with the centre-back pairing is because we saw a new pairing of centre-backs against Sporting, and I think we struggled. I wouldn't test a centre-back pairing out against Fulham away, particularly with Mitrovic, particularly with Mana Solomon, particularly with the form Williams in. I think they've got some really good attacking players. and some really good informed players. And I think it would be a massive risk to play these two together in this game. One of them with another of the first team centre backs this season in Saliba or Gabriel, I think I could be okay with. Two of them together, I'm not there yet in terms of this game in particular. Vieira, I mean, you saw, I had Vieira in my side. I have no issues with him deputizing for Odegaard if Odegaard is out. I think if Odegaard's fit, he plays. In terms of the front three, I mean, I think there's a massive argument that Saka does need rest. I'd love to actually look at his starts in comparison to the rest of the Arsenal squad and his minutes played in comparison to the rest of the Arsenal squad, because I know there was a time when we were heavily dependent on Gabriel and he was playing a lot of games, but I can't imagine Saka being far behind, if behind at all, because he just seems to be an ever-present in this Arsenal side. Whereas other players, either through injury or suspension or rotation, seem to get a rest, seem to get a break, whereas he doesn't. So, I mean, the Dubry kid looks phenomenal. Kozia Dubry, sorry, looks absolutely brilliant. He looks like a mini Saka when he's on the ball and when he plays. I mean, if you have to kind of take a double take when you see him, particularly when he plays on the right, because I know he can play on the left also. So, I mean, I can't see it happening in terms of Arteta throwing him in, but I definitely want to see him on the bench. 100% do I want to see him on the bench, because we have problems in the front three. We've got very limited options, and I think now would be a time to have him on the bench and sling him on. Like, definitely. Like, I mean, if we need a goal, if it's a tight game, if we need something different, he should definitely get an opportunity. I mean, he's been in and around the squad. He's been training, rubbing shoulders with the first team. So why not, give him an appearance on the bench for me personally, and then bring him on. Maybe if we've wrapped up the game, or if we're needing a goal or needing to get back into the game, what have we got to lose? Because we don't have Jesus, we don't have Eddie, we don't have Trossard, we don't have some of these game-changing players that we could call upon. So why not call upon somewhat of an unknown quantity that could come on and absolutely steal the show? We've seen it before many, many a times with young players coming on in big Premier League games, making a name for themselves, and then the rest is history. So, yeah, man, I think Dubry deserves a chance, given our squad situation, and why not throw him in there?
Yeah. I've just quickly, whilst you were talking about the squad there, I've actually looked to see who's played the most minutes, and Gabriel has played the most.
Yeah, I knew he's up
followed
there.
By Saka, followed by Saliba, followed by Xhaka.
I knew he was up there. I knew Gabriel was up there, but I could... What's the difference between minutes played? Does it say?
It's massive between Gabriel and Saka, actually. Yeah.
This is why people need to not disrespect Gabriel, This guy, man, he's an absolute soldier. Absolute soldier.
And Vieira, and this is what annoys me about people putting down Vieira, he's played just a little bit more than what Tierney has, and Tierney's hardly played this season.
This is what I'm saying, though. How can you write off a player that ain't playing?
He's played less. He's played less than Tommy. Yeah, he's played less than Tommy. Played less than Jesus.
And we're saying Tommy and KT are playing the way they are because they're not getting games, but then we're calling this man a flop because he's played less games than them. Come on,
I will never. If I'll be honest, I've wanted Vieira since he was about 17. I've loved the kid. I've watched him in Portugal. I was going, this is the kid. I'm never going to let anyone slag him off.
Yeah, he's a baller.
But if he was playing badly, I would be honest. I'd go, no, not for me.
I can't wait till he becomes good, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly go through the comments before the challenge, which gives G a little bit of time to work out what he's going to do. Leno is weak. He's not. He's been really good for Fulham for me. He's been really impressive. Andrew Pereira, yes, my word, did Man United make an error there for me. Tim, I'll never like him. There's something about him I just don't like him. Odegaard will suck it up. Well, let's hope so. But there's been an issue going throughout the squad, so let's hope no one else has picked one up. I had either Gabby or Vieira for man of the match for yesterday. Yep, I can try and skip through some of them. Fabio would look a very good player for a team like Real Sociedad, for example. He'd have Real. Yes, honestly, that kid could play for any team at some point.
Yeah.
Big up to Tony. Sorry, he's late. I'll use my own profile this time. Some journos are just out there to cause issues. See, I get that, but this one actually is an Arsenal journo, and that really knocks me because unfortunately he's got a massive fan base, and they're going to listen to him because he's an Arsenal journo, so they think that he knows everything. Forgets that he actually gets paid to not say certain things. So there we go. I know you get it, G. That's all about his squad. White look exhausted. Yes, he did. He looked very exhausted, I have to be honest. Yeah. I know you said something about subbing him off. Oh, I hate right back subs. It really does me head in. Right back for a right back. But if they're having a bad game, I get it, or exhausted, I get it. And this 5 subs rule, I suppose, is a new thing, which I'm still learning that maybe that is what happens nowadays. Big up to on the 29th of July. I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to leave the question up there and I'll let G, because I don't trust people. They're going to clip me. So I'll let G say it.
Is it time to put money into Arsenal winning the league? Boy, I don't know. It depends if you're a betting man or not, innit?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to say anything until April. I've moved it back a little bit because there's just a lot that can happen, because obviously our squad's become thin again all of a sudden. Like
all of a sudden, we look like that was it. We've got all the strength in depth in the world. Now all of a sudden we're in the bare bones again.
I do understand it. It just annoys me because I'm a right back. I would hate coming off as a right back unless I'm having a bad game. I just would never expect to be substituted as a right back. It's normally a winger or a midfielder, tactical substitution. But yeah, it's just something I'm not used to. I'll get used to it eventually, I'm sure. And was talking about different games. So let's go into the challenge for G. Here we go. Okay, so the rules are the same as always. It's Fulham's formation. So it is going to be a 4-2-3-1 with an attacking midfielder, 2 CDMs, a right wing, a left wing, and a striker up front, 2 centre backs and a right back and a left back. Yeah. So we're going to start with the 5 Fulham players, please, G.
Yeah, it might come as a bit of a surprise to everyone, but I'm going to go with Issa Diop at centre back.
Okay. Any reason for that?
I really like him. Even when he was at West Ham, for me, I always liked him. Just a player that kind of caught my eye. I think he's really physical, commanding in the air. I mean, I think he's the type of player in that if he was in a team like Arsenal, with a very kind of, Arteta, in terms of like, if you're managed under a coach like Arteta, and it's all about the system and so forth, I think he'd do a job. I really, really do. Very physical, very commanding in the air. And I think he's a decent centre-back. I was impressed with him at West Ham. I was a bit surprised he left West Ham to go to Fulham.
Literally what I was thinking,
I didn't really get the move. Obviously, looking at the league table now, I mean, you could say it was a good move. West Ham are fighting relegation, Fulham are pushing for Europe. But at the time, I was a bit like, okay, you've West Ham, in Europe, and Fulham are promoted. I didn't really get it, and I thought there were teams in the Premier League that could have done with him, and it could have strengthened their team. So he's a player that it's not always about like shiny toys and attacking players. He's a player that I liked. Even when he was at West Ham. So for me, he was one that I was always going to put in a combined 11. Not for everybody, but I think he's quite a decent centre-back.
I do. Second player, please, mate.
It's got to be Paulino.
Okay. Let's see if I can get this right the first time around. Probably not.
Yeah. got to be him, man. He's having an absolutely Polina. He's having an absolutely phenomenal season.
Yeah.
Yeah, just if he's at Fulham next season, I'll be gobsmacked.
Yeah, so would I.
I'll be gobsmacked because he's phenomenal. I've seen him in some of the biggest games against some of the top 6 sides, and he's been the best player on the pitch.
Yeah,
that's
why he was one of my 5 to. Honestly, I'm shocked that he signed for Fulham. It's no disrespect for Fulham. I just think there's so many clubs.
When you're talking about combative midfielders, that's what he is. He's like an old school throwback, type of midfielder, just absolute midfield general. The likes of like Roy Keane and Petit and that type of player, man. So he's brilliant. Next player I'm going to go with is one of your, or he was one of your 5 to watch. Also, another 5 to watch is Mitrovic. I'm going to go up top with him. I think he's scored more goals in this Premier League season than he has in all these previous seasons in the Premier League combined. Something like that. I saw a stat the other day, but I think the reason for picking him is just different. I think he's the type of player that I think we lack. If I'm completely honest, I think Eddie and Jesus are somewhat very similar, and I do want us at some point to evolve the front line and for that to incorporate a big centre forward. I do. Whether we do it or not, I don't know, but that's why I've picked Mitrovic. Now it starts to get a bit tough because of areas. And I'm gonna go with Mana Solomon on the left-hand side.
Okay. There we go. Your 5th and final player, mate.
Yeah. I'm so tempted to pick Leno, but what it is with Leno is I want this team to play the way Arsenal play.
Yeah.
And the way Arsenal play can't incorporate Leno. For me, quite similar to the really quick kid at left back as well. I'm not sure he can play that inverted role well. So the player I'm going to select, oh man, the last player, geez, it's going to have to be, it's a hard one. Can't pick up front. Midfield, I don't really want to do it. I can't pick a second centre back. I might have to just go with the left back,
Anthony Robertson.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with him because I can't legitimize picking anybody else. I can't have a Fulham pair centre back.
Yeah, you can't have Tete on the right.
Yeah, and I need an Arsenal player in that front line as well.
Yeah.
So that's the 5 I'm going with.
Okay, so I'm gonna assume that it's Ramsdale in goal.
Yeah.
Right back.
It's gonna be Ben White for me.
Okay. Your final centre back.
Gabriel.
Okay. Oh, this is always hard to find him.
No,
it's all right. It's just
that's a beast of a centre back pairing.
It is. Yeah. I'm gonna guess Partey.
Yeah, it's gonna be Partey. That's Rolls Royce right there, them two. Jesus.
Don't forget, you can have Odegaard because if
I'm going to pick Odegaard in that position.
What's up? And then Starboy, I'm guessing.
You know what? You know what?
Yeah, go on.
I'm gonna go Jesus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I'm gonna go Jesus.
I've known you long enough that I know how much you love Starboy.
And the reason why he's my Starboy, and it's not like I'm not picking him for a particular reason. But just because of Jesus' ability to play in the middle and out wide, plus with Mana Solomon, I mean, he's in a rich vein of form, but I don't. Yeah, for me, I don't know. I feel better having Jesus there than Saka with the 2 Fulham players that I've picked. So that would be my front 3.
I like that too. There's no weakness for me.
It's a good team,
That is. This is why I do this Shadows because it amazes you how
it's a good
quick.
Team.
Yeah,
I think the only real weak point somebody might say is maybe at centre back. You've got 2 physical centre backs. Both of them can be rash at times.
Yeah.
But I just think if you're centre forward, you wouldn't want to play against Diop and Gabriel. you wouldn't, man. Like that would be a perfect centre back pairing to play against Mitrovic.
Yeah.
You would not want. There's not many strikers that are going to have a good time playing against them two. I really like that team.
Yeah, I actually really like that one. Well done, G. Did a great job at that. Let's see if Moss has tried. I'm sure he probably has. He doesn't like it, but he plays it anyway. All the rival fans saying it's in the bag for us are acting in bad faith. They want to. Yeah. Get that.
They are. That's exactly what they're doing.
Challenge. Let's go. Lily missed it with these two matches on. I reckon Mitrovic thought he saw the Khans. He was. The growing vegetables. Yes, he is very, very, very physical. Across the pot, Moss. Cool pick in here. Rami, Robinson, Saliba, Gabriel, Tete. No, there you go. You've already lost that one. TP, Odegaard, Saka, Andreas. I quite like it, but you've gotten for Tete. Yeah. If G went for Tete, I would have just taken him off stream. So it was simple as that, to be honest.
Well, you know what? One thing we haven't mentioned though is Paulinho is injured. No, suspended.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
I spoke to a Fulham person this morning who helps me do these things, and he didn't say nothing.
Yeah, he's suspended. I've just remembered he got. I'm sure he was suspended for the last 2 games. He missed the. I'm sure it is, man. Somebody confirm it in the chat. I'm sure I read that somewhere. Paulinho is suspended for the Arsenal game because I was bantering a Man United fan. And he said to me, "Oh, you lot always lucky. You're always lucky." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "Their best players suspended." And I went, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Paulinho." And I looked it up, and it did say that he was suspended for the Arsenal game. And I can't lie, I was happy.
I'm gonna quickly have a look. G, have you got StreamYard powers, didn't you?
Yeah, suspension ahead of Brentford and Arsenal tie. Yeah.
Okay, so if I can quickly look on there, because it will tell me if he's suspended.
I'm sure he is.
Let's have a look. Let's see if I can find out. Because normally it tells me who's injured, who's suspended. Let's have a look. I'm gonna have a go at this. Yes, he is suspended.
Yeah.
Oh my word!
I didn't realize until, like I said, I was bantering a Man United fan, and he said to me, "Oh, you lot are always lucky. You're playing the teams where they don't have their best player." And I said, my gut instinct was, "What do you mean? Mitrovic he's come back from an injury?" And he said, "No, it's Paulinho. He was suspended against Brentford, and he was suspended against you lot." And I was like, "Oh man, happy days, man. Let Partey come in and boss that midfield." Yes. Because he was doing the whole thing with Casemiro was out against when they played us, and then he goes, "Oh, you're playing Fulham, Paulinho's out." But I hadn't a clue that he was. It's not really been spoken about anywhere. I mean, like I've not seen it anywhere, but I looked it up.
I spoke to a Fulham official this morning, and they said nothing to me about it.
He's out, man. Result for
us. I'm gonna have words with him. I tell you, I am so not happy with him. Cedric Arteta. Oh, yeah, you're on about the mate. No matter what right back you chose, you would have lost. It's the fact you went for the right back for Fulham that is their weak spot.
And as much as I know Leno's doing well, I mean, I just can't pick him, man. He used to drive me mental.
And yes, to announce that Luke will be doing this next Friday for the Crystal Palace game. Yeah, I've arranged it so it's a morning stream, so I can actually get different people on. So Luke's going to do it next Friday. He sounds like he's looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. It's really good. I can't lie, man. It's interesting because it makes you really think about the opposition to a whole nother level.
The whole point. That's the
whole
point.
So I like it. I enjoy it, man. It makes me actually look at like who we're playing, their squad, their stats, who's playing, who's not playing. So yeah, man, I think the challenge is a quality.
I'm ex-military. I was trained to know your opposition, and that happens in elite 100%. Sport as well. If you're in boxing, you want to know your opposition. You want to know who you're fighting. Yeah. You want to know their weakness, their strengths. That's it. It's the whole point of it. Okay, I know you went for prediction earlier, guys. In the comments, can you please put your predictions in for the game? I am now going to put G on the spot and see what he's going with.
Like I said, I'm confident because of the form we're going into this match in terms of the Premier League form. I'm not confident because of just the catalogue of injuries and illnesses that we've recently had. Yeah. Having said that, I think we've got enough momentum. Also, when I take into context their midfield, whatever commander, whatever you want to call him, is injured. Suspended. I think that's a huge boost for us in that midfield. And I think you dominate the midfield, we can definitely win this game. So for me, I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be a very difficult game. I think we'll sneak it 2-1.
Yeah. I'm actually with you, too.
Seriously, man.
No, well, I'm going to be fair to Tony. I can see it. It's not going to surprise me. I'm also going to do another prediction, only because I do so many watch-alongs. I have been due a 0-0 for a very long time because I've been having some great games. I did the 7-0 that we all know about last weekend. I'm not going to pick on Colm too much, but I did that game. That was hard, actually, to watch. It'd be surprising because I actually had Colm with me, who's obviously a United fan, and it was hard. I was hating the fact that I was having to say, "Sorry, mate, it's another goal." I feel for fans like that because I wasn't expecting that game. I was never expecting a 7-0.
7-0.
And when you just you got your mate on with you and he supports the team, and I felt really bad, and I'm not even kidding. I felt so bad every time I was going, "Sorry, mate, they've scored again."
Once it gets to like 3, it's like, come on now, it's like. Yeah, there's bants and then there's just like torturing, man, in it. It's not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah, it's mad. But I'm going to stick with yours as well, 2-1. But because of the amount of watch-longs I do, I am due a 0-0. I guarantee it won't be tomorrow's game, which I'm doing Notts County versus Dorking. That's going to be loads of goals. But I'm due a 0-0, so I'm predicting possibly a 0-0. But I do get Tony's 2-1. I do get.
I hear it. I do hear it. I do hear it. I do have a bit of a gut feeling about this match, but I'm just hoping we can. I'm really hoping we can just scrape it. City have got Palace tomorrow, innit?
Yeah, could be an interest. Are they at the Etihad or Selhurst?
No, it's away. Selhurst.
Oh,
they're in wretched form though, Palace, man. Absolutely. There are rumours today on the timeline, innit, about Patrick Vieira being under pressure. So,
I kind of get it though, but. Yeah,
I do. I think they're only 3 points above the drop. I think, or 3 points away from the scraps.
So. But for Palace, it's always been need someone to put the chances away. But I do think. Well, mind you, I'll leave that till next week because I actually do have a Crystal Palace fan coming on next week for a preview. So we'll leave the Palace talk till next week because I've got one coming to join me next week. So that'll be a good chat. So join me for next Friday for that one, 7:30 with the Palace fan. But G, where can everyone find you, mate, before I have a coughing fit?
Yeah, man. Always a pleasure doing streams with you, Bobby, man. Trust me, I really do enjoy it. But yeah, where you can find me obviously on here on the Armoury, YouTube. If for whatever reason you haven't liked tonight's stream, please do. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Spread the word as well. I mean, it's all about kind of retweets, likes, and stuff like that. But if you watch the show and you watch the show regularly, and you know other Gooners, which I'm sure you do, just let them know who we are. Take their phone off them, press subscribe, and get them to turn on the notifications and tune into our shows. But yeah, in terms of me interacting, I do all my interacting mostly on Twitter. GTalks is the name, and the @ is on the screen, which is GTalks Arsenal. So if you use Twitter, or if you want to interact with me on Twitter, then give me a follow, drop me a DM, I'll follow you back, and then we can talk Arsenal or football on there.
Yeah, exactly. You'll find me here. I feel like I've been on here like the whole week.
You live on stream, man.
I feel like I do. We were even on here earlier as well, having a meeting. Backstage. So it does feel like we live on here, but I don't. I will be back tomorrow to do the Notts County Dorking Wanderers, which is National League for anyone that doesn't know. Honestly, the top two right now is fierce. The amount of goals they score is just brilliant. I love National League. It's my favourite league to do. I will then be back on Sunday to do the Fulham Arsenal watch along, and then I'll be back with Gumza after for the reaction. And then I'll be back a lot next week as well because we've got 2 games next week. So I'll be back a lot. I will have a break at some point. I will have a break at some point. But yeah, it's just mad. Thankfully, we have got an international break coming up. I think we all need it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But guys, thank you ever so much for tuning in.
Yeah, man.
And as always, before we go, come on, you Gunners, please. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.